Have you ever done anything bad? When I was young, I did something bad. Unforgivable. There was this man, and he was handsome, charismatic, and he noticed me. But I guess I wasn't as tough as we thought.
What happened?
Nothing. I just feel a bit off. Go away.
Are you speaking to me?
Stay away from me and my kid.
Okay, you are mistaking me for someone else.
I know him. I know what he's capable of.
I've missed you so much. The life we made was perfect.
Come after me. Come after my child. I swear to God, I will kill you. He wants to hurt us, but I won't let that happen.
I think you're having an episode.
I'm the only one that can see you. The only person that really knows who you are.
I was doing a little research before, and turns out you were on episode 141 and 142 of this podcast.
Oh, okay. By the way, are we recording right now, or are we not?
Yes,
we are recording. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's the number one. I don't know why people ask me that all the time.
Well, I don't know if there's any indication. I didn't
Look
know
at the top. There is. It says. Doesn't it say on the? Yeah.
But
But it started before you got on. So why would you? Anyway, I apologize, as I do to so many people. But that's kind of the style I do, because I think I'm on some level. Oh, this is a good way of doing it, because then you're not like doing a sudden pivot and people all of a sudden become self-conscious or something, because it ends up backfiring, because then they do exactly what you did, which is to say, have we started yet?
Well, I don't know. I
So,
hope there weren't any candid off mic or whatever.
well, I can still edit it. We're not live, so so if you do say something terrible, depending on how much cash you have on hand, I can edit it out. So
Well, you know me, always carrying huge wads of cash.
And saying terrible things. Yeah. No.
You were saying that you were saying something.
I was saying is that you and Brian, who came on also not that long ago, again after many, many years.
I think been on with. I mean, Brian may have come on. I was only on. I only did this once. I did it with Brian Wiseman many years ago. But I think
I'm going to fill you in. But it was such a long. We were sitting in that restaurant, and it was such a long conversation. And it just so happened that we talked kind of mostly about Sonny for half of it, and then we talked a lot about Nancy Please which was your first feature,
right?
Which this is all to lead into Resurrection. Don't get me wrong, I'm not just going on. It's all, I got a plan here to how to promote the fuck out of your films. Don't worry about it.
People are going to be fascinated by this.
But people could go back and if they, in retrospect, if they're interested in seeing Resurrection, which is coming out theatrically on the 29th of July. See, I can do this.
Well, seamless.
That they can go back and see Nancy Please, and which has got a great performance at its center. And then but my point is about Sonny and Nancy Please, these two indie films from 10 or more years ago, came out, roughly in the same period of time, if you will. And then, so you guys both came on and we talked about making low budget independent films.
Mhm.
Both happened to be around central characters who were women, and about your experiences making the films. And so it was such a long conversation, and because it kind of bifurcated in a way naturally between the two films, I was able to make it into 2 episodes. So you're on episodes 141 and 142. Nobody can hear them. They're not available because they're old. I'll put them back on. I'll make them live. No, I'll make them. I still have them. They're in the archives. And it was May of 2000. Wait a minute, I got to check again. I wrote down
2012.
Could it be 2012?
That's when Nancy premiered at Tribeca.
Then it's got to be. Yeah, it's funny. I forgot to write down the year, but yeah, so 10 years ago.
Yeah. Well,
it's really something.
It's a time-consuming medium.
Sure. I mean, it's worth. I mean, as far as being a writer director, it took a while to do this, to have the subsequent film come out. But look at holy crap! Look at the cast and all the acting. That's amazing. I mean, the level of I was doubting it was you until I saw the credits. Like, this is such a you're such a capable job here. This is great. I'm teasing. Rebecca Hall is the anchoring actor in this main.
Yes, never seen. The whole movie is built around her performance.
Almost, she's in every moment of the film. And then also Tim Roth, of course, and the young Grace Kaufman.
Yes,
are your primary cast, with a couple of other people, but the other young woman who works as an intern at the office where Rebecca. And the first thing I saw from your, what do you call the shots? I guess it's not, what do you call exterior shots? Setup. Exterior? What do you call it? Locations.
Establishing shots.
Thank you. That's exactly what I was looking for. That's the term I forgot. Right at the beginning, it's Albany, and I would never have known this until I moved all the way up here, and I'm an hour still south of Albany, but I've gone up there a number of times because now I can I'm working back in radio, and I go to shows, and there's the Egg, which was like the first concert I went to since I moved up here, and or second, and I would never have known it until I moved up here that was Albany. And you never define the city, right?
We don't. I mean, the only time there's a scene where Margaret, Rebecca Hall's character, talks to a police officer in his office. He's wearing wearing on his uniform that say Albany, but outside of that, no, it's never mentioned. We're trying to somehow it takes place in Albany. It just happens never to be mentioned. We're not withholding that on purpose. I see.
Although I think it is effective because there's something about not knowing, which kind of it contributes to the sense of unease and tension. I think it's my opinion. Like, if you know where you are, it's less disorienting, and we don't know where we are.
Yeah, I mean, that is you've just immediately landing on one of my regrets around the movie is that Albany, which is a city I didn't know at all before we started on this project. Albany is a fascinating city. It's a fascinating city visually. It's a very unusual conglomeration of different forms of infrastructure in a relatively small space in Albany, and I became really interested in the landscape there, but due to practical considerations, due to the schedule of the movie, which was shot very quickly, we weren't able to get as much Albany in the movie as I wanted. Okay. I really saw Albany as an opportunity, an untapped location, something that you don't see in movies very often, and I wanted to get more of the distinctive landscape in the movie, but unfortunately, some of that had to be fall by the wayside. We weren't able to capture it. There are a few definite Albany landmarks in there that, if you know the city, you will recognize. But it is one of my regrets that we weren't able to maximize that landscape.
Right. Well, then I referenced the egg, which is a egg-shaped, you know, building, which is where it's an arts center, performing arts center. I didn't mention that, but
it's right in Empire State Plaza, where if you don't know Albany and you go there, you've got to go to Empire State Plaza. It's absolutely incredible. Surely you've been there. As someone who's been to the egg, you've been right there to the plaza.
Well, that's the thing. We drove right up into the ramp. I mean, this is what's kind of made, I mean, well, this is another episode, I guess, but you know, we can talk about architecture, and development, but you know, they built this ramp that goes, I guess, so people like myself who are afraid of urban centers, clearly, you know, don't have to see any of it. It goes right from the highway. You go right into the structure with that, right into the parking area.
You made a mistake. You've got to get out and
I know. I have.
Well, oh, you have. Okay.
Well, I have not been to that particular plaza, and your publicists are probably scratching their heads by this point. But anyway, I haven't been in that particular plaza, but I went to another thing and you know, and I've been to Albany and various places, but I have not been to that plaza you're talking about. But you shot there; I could see it in the film.
Yeah, and it's remarkable. It's a really genuinely strange and fascinating space that you just don't expect in a city like Albany, and it's totally great. I loved it.
I did too. Albany is sort of a character, even though you may not know. And I had to look at the street signs, which are in the background, hard to see, to just confirm that I knew where I was. And it's a great film in that way. You know, and there's a tradition of these sort of, I don't know, I'm thinking the parallax, all these kind of you know, horror films that are psychological horror, which is what this film Resurrection is. It's a psychological horror film. It's in such a great tradition. You've kind of set up a vibe that's very similar to that tradition, or within that tradition.
The tradition of
psychological horror and kind of this, which is kind of also related to the paranoid conspiracy genre, like, you know, that was so popular in the 70s.
Yeah, well, that's definite. I mean, we definitely had that in mind. And so you mentioned the parallax view, but there's the kind of Alan Pakula trilogy from the 70s, which is All President's Men, Clute, and Parallax View, which are movies that I love, particularly Clute.
Oh my God, what a great movie.
And I love those movies just because they're great movies, but also I love them formally, and I love they're all shot by Gordon Willis, and I love Gordon Willis.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Approach to photography in those movies. So those really became, those and a lot of paranoid thrillers from the 70s were reference points for us. But in terms of the kind of photographic approach, definitely those three came to mind, especially Clute. Clute is such a great movie because Clute is a movie that is absolutely fascinating and engrossing and built around an incredible central performance where the central mystery, you couldn't care less about the central mystery. You know who did it the whole time. The big reveal at the end really isn't a reveal at all. But
what would Hitchcock have called it? Hitchcock would have called it,
I don't know what Hitchcock.
He had a term for just misleading, like, you know, it's beside the point. Yeah, right. The MacGuffin. It's sort of beside the point. It's you know,
it's a character study dressed up like a thriller.
Yes.
Which is one of the things I love about it. It has all these trappings of a thriller, and it's done beautifully. But ultimately, what is interesting about the movie is the central character and her arc. And I always thought that was terrific.
And then likewise, Margaret, played by you know, Rebecca Hall, who's again the main actor in this film. She is there was an incident early in her, I don't remember the trailer, so I'm careful about what I reveal here, rather, but she's haunted by this thing that happened in her distant past, and she seems to have suppressed it quite successfully. But you know, you can only do that for so long, and then, you know, you even doubt is this Tim Roth character, who he plays, this guy David Moore, you know, who's more of a lot of stuff, actually, more than we can handle him. But he's like you wonder if he's even real or just in her imagination, and that too becomes almost beside the point. It's like, you know, and then do stop me if I'm revealing too much, but you know, he represents sort of this thing that happened to her many years earlier, and that she's never really reconciled with, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I always kind of imagine that, I guess the movie does invite you a little bit, and this is really almost unintentional, but to think that maybe this guy is not real, that it's just a kind of return of the repressed moment at a critical moment in her life, and that this is all just an elaborate projection, allowing her to try and overcome past trauma that's been suppressed or repressed. And again, that wasn't our idea. It wasn't something by design, like, oh, is he real? Is he not real? I mean, again, I think that's I invite anybody to interpret it in whatever way that
right. I'm glad you didn't focus on that too much.
It's a trope. On minds. I always thought that this man is real and he's there, and the past that the backstory that Margaret recounts in the movie is truthful. And now I've lost track of.
No, I mean, all I'm saying is it is. I mean, I'll just respond to what you just said, because which might get you back on track. But it's like it's beside it too is beside the point, and I don't think people should dwell too much on that. I'm just saying I sort of got to this point where I was wondering. I didn't, but you should. It's a trope. This idea of, is this person real or imagined, that's used a lot in various films. So it's, but you don't want to weigh too much on that, because it's really just about her journey and her coming to terms with, self-forgiveness, self-empower, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah, I mean, she is kind of, she's desperate for redemption. She's desperate to overcome this sense of guilt and shame and self-blame, for her own victimization, which is absolutely tragic. And that's, whether he's real or not, to my mind, is kind of secondary. What is interesting, what is hopefully interesting, is her desperate efforts to reconcile herself with her past and give herself permission to like herself, to feel like a good person of value, a good mother. And that's really what she's striving to do over the course of the whole story.
Yeah, right. Well done. I mean, the name again of the film is Resurrection. It's coming out. It's being distributed IFC Film. It was a hit at Sundance, apparently. Was that premiered? It had its world premiere.
Good. I don't know how Sundance hit is defined.
I don't know. It's at Sundance.
I don't know what the metrics are for determining that, but
well, whatever you feel like about Sundance, it is a litmus of sorts, and they are. It's a good thing to have been at Sundance and to.
Sundance hit.
Good, congratulations, and then got distribution. Did it get bought there?
Yes, it was picked up by IFC out of Sundance and IFC and Shudder. So it comes out in theaters on July 29th, and then it will make its streaming premiere on August 5th. So it'll be available for everybody.
Oh, so it's going to stream also, but only on Shudder, right?
No, I mean, you can rent it. You'll be able to, if you want to pay money. And I honestly, I should know this. I'm not sure what the Shudder window is right now, but it will be on Shudder. But I mean, it'll be, right. Anybody who wants to watch it at home starting on August 5th, you'll be able to do it if you want to cough up a couple of bucks.
But go to the theater too. It's,
I encourage you, if it's playing in your town. Go.
By then, I mean, my God, everybody will have seen Top Gun, for God's sake. So it's not like you're competing with that.
No, and really, which is sad, because I feel like going head to head with Top Gun, we would have been ready to do it.
I'm trying to remember the name of it's like Windows or something. Gordon Willis directed a film, which is also a kind of about a woman, kind of with a psychological.
I'm only vaguely aware of that movie. I've never even seen it.
Well, it's one of the few movies that Talia Shire stars in. I don't know if she actually carried in any other film, but this is one she does. And I actually had her on the show. What was I had one of her sons, I talked to both Jason and his brother, but it was this thing where his brother, you know, it was the end of the Zoom session. Talia was on too, and then she couldn't figure out how to get off Zoom. So I had her trapped for like 10 minutes. But I started asking her about that movie because I had seen it not that long before. I didn't even know there was such a thing as a Gordon Willis directed film, but he, you know, it was not a success.
Yeah, there's so much to do. Like, I always thought maybe BAM or something should do a film series about when cinematographers.
Right. That's a great idea.
Obviously, a few have done it very successfully, but very often it seems that cinematographers will direct and make maybe one movie like Gordon Willis, or maybe two movies, and unsuccessfully. Right. And I think it just might be very interesting to see, to do a compare contrast between, and maybe not just cinematographers, also other people, you know, production.
It's a good idea.
Other HODs who try and shift to directing, and to see how that works out, because oftentimes, for whatever reason, it doesn't. And you would think that as cinematographer that would be a kind of smooth transition, because they know how to put a movie together and they're on set all the time. But you know, it doesn't.
And they may have gone to NYU, let's say, or some film school for filmmaking. It's just that they fell into, you know, they had a penchant for cinematography, and a lot of filmmakers end up cinematographers, and the other way around. You know, maybe they. So it's.
Well, you know, sometimes it does work. Like Jan de Bont had this huge Hollywood career after being
right.
Decades.
Good example. Anyway,
how
did
like
you?
Movies or not, he was successful financially.
Tell me about your casting. Did you write this film for anybody in mind? I guess that's maybe a little. Could be difficult to talk about if you did, and then you didn't cast them, and you know, you settled. You settled for Tim Roth. Did you have somebody in? I mean,
I didn't write it with anybody in mind. I don't really like to do that, and if I do that, I try and come up with somebody who I know is impossible to cast because they're dead or something.
Anthony Hopkins, and then you know,
Anthony Hopkins and Jodie Foster. No, I was not thinking. So, I mean, I guess at some point you can't, as you're writing, you inevitably start thinking of actors. But in this case, I was just thinking of actors, you know, from previous generations that are either impossible because they're too old or are dead. So I didn't write for anybody with the hopes of actually getting to them. So short answer is no, I didn't write for anybody in mind.
How was it really challenging getting? I mean, these are two, you know, really like successful actors at the top of their game, and I don't know, like, I just imagine you have one feature under your belt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Was it difficult? In the case of both of them, honestly, no, it wasn't difficult. We got the script to Rebecca. I mean, you know, oftentimes it's difficult just getting people to read, getting actors to read. But in this case, we were able to get it to Rebecca's agent and get her to read the script. And Rebecca responded to it very quickly and readily. There was something in the script, something in this material that she had a visceral reaction to, an emotional reaction to. And I think she saw the character and the story as something that was going to be really challenging, something that she could really sink her teeth into. And it seems to me that Rebecca just gravitates towards roles that are, you know, they're real meals, that are tough, that she is that are going to be in some ways challenging for her. She just I think it's boring for her to do easier material or stuff that doesn't require that much from her. I think that just is, you know,
she's like a real.
She doesn't do that. And so she responded quickly and came on board quickly. And with Tim, that role was cast. We got Rebecca on. You know, it was still took a little while to get the movie up and running once Rebecca was on board, and Tim was cast much closer to production. But again, it was strangely straightforward. We went to him, he read it, he was available, and why this appealed to him, you know, I don't exactly know. We didn't really talk about it, but he did. He was just like, yeah, this excites me, this is interesting to me, and he just hopped on.
Maybe he wants to work with Rebecca, you know. You've got.
I mean, yeah, I think that was probably
two real Albany-based actors. Why wouldn't they want to work in their hometown?
You know, every British actor wants to come to New York State Capitol and do something.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's a dream come true. Well, and you know, I was thinking about when you're talking about Rebecca, like, you know, it must be in 2022 a challenging thing to just want to be a dramatic actor, like not to be kind of a successful movie actor and yet not necessarily feel compelled to do Marvel universe films, you know.
Well, I mean, Rebecca has done a Marvel movie. She was in Iron Man 3, and she's in the Godzilla versus King Kong. So she definitely does from time to time
epics,
big movies.
I get okay. Well, pay dates. Okay. Well, then I can twist what I'm saying and just saying, wow, then to do that and then do like a small film like Resurrection, good for her. But it's turning out that this is a film that's probably going to do quite well. I think it's going to do well. I think it's going to, you know, make money for everybody, and that's my guess. And I'll give you a third feature much quicker.
I hope so. I hope so. We can cut. Yeah, the decade's a little long. You know, nice to cut that in half or maybe even less.
Well, yeah.
But yeah. Rebecca, by the way, it's also directing moves. She wrote and directed Passing, which was that was a
which one?
Hit.
Which one?
Passing.
Passing.
Yeah, the movie, the movie, you know, that Rebecca wrote and directed. It was at Sundance the year before last, and it was, I mean, it was a major critical success. Got picked up by Netflix for.
I know that.
You haven't seen it? Oh, you got to see it. It's a terrific movie.
Of course I saw it. No, I have to catch up with. There's well, you know, I mean, there's lots of gaps in my viewing. Oh my God.
Well, I mean, just Rebecca is a you know, a constant multi-hyphenate. She's a great director, great actor, great writer. And
let her come on here, and if they're able to get maybe 5 minutes with Rebecca Hall, I'll have seen that movie as well.
Oh yeah,
I'll be all caught up, and Godzilla and King Kong. Well, I actually probably
I mean, it would be a great double feature, just because they're so similar. I'm kidding, because they're radically different. If you watch King Kong, and she did not direct Godzilla versus King Kong.
I know that. I know. I see what you mean. I thought you meant your film and her film, but yours. Yeah, now I got it. Andrew Semans is back on Filmwax Radio after 10 years. Forget about making films 10 years apart. It's been 10 years apart since he's appeared on a podcast, which I'm guessing he wasn't even a podcast. I've been
on a podcast. I've just not been on this podcast.
I'm not concerned with any others. And to be honest with you, it wasn't even a podcast then. It was, and we're going to wind it down in case anybody's worried, but it wasn't even a podcast then. It was actually internet radio. And then probably around the time you came on, it might have been where I started podcasting it also. I don't remember exactly when that was, but you guys were definitely very early guests. Yeah, so it's good to have you back on. And we can just talk films too. You know, we could do a whole I don't know, like the what was it? The cinematographers who become filmmakers. We could do we could pitch it through the podcast. You know, first do the podcast and then pitch it as a retrospective of some sort for Film Forum or Metrograph or something.
I think we have to do it.
Yeah.
And you know, you heard it here first, folks. This is
and I'm always looking for.
This has been given the green light. So let's get to work on that off mic here in a minute.
Okay, great seeing you. Good luck with it. Resurrection opens theatrically on July 29th, and it will be available through streaming and on demand on August the 5th.
That is correct.
It stars Rebecca Hall, Tim Roth, and is directed by and written by Andrew Semans. Congratulations. Glad this worked out.
Well, thank you very much. So good to see you again. And
Same here.
Good to be on the show again.
And had I known you were in Albany, I would have driven up.
No, I didn't know you were nearby.
No, of course you didn't. I mean, we've been out of touch for years. This is nice. We're back. Been brought back together. It's great. Happy for the occasion. We used to run into each other regularly.
All the time.
All the time. right?
You were a party animal. You were at every event.
I was not. You only know me. Well, it was like going to the film events, going to premieres, or rooftop films, or screenings, and it was
We
a lot
just
of
showed Resurrection at Rooftop.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm out of touch.
delightful.
I'm
Well,
really out of touch. But I'm going to be working with the Woodstock Film Festival. It's too bad. I think by the end of the fall, it'll be way too late for this film. But
yeah, I think it's festival
the
run.
timing is a little off. But
Festival
whatever.
run is about over already.
But come on up. I'm doing some work with the Woodstock Film Festival. If you get a chance. Oh, no, wait. You're about to have a baby in a few days. Your wife is expected what day?
Exactly 1 week from today.
Okay. Well, my best to your wife and you and the sex. You don't have to announce it.
Yes, we do. It's a girl.
Oh, nice. Okay, well, exciting times for you. Enjoy every moment of it.
a lot of big projects are being released more or less simultaneously.
That's right. Yeah, for sure. And it's a very exciting time. Enjoy. I'm serious. Like, really, just enjoy every moment of it.
I'll do my best.
Yeah. And we'll hopefully be in touch soon.
Okay. Well,
right.
Thank you so much, Adam.
You're
Great
welcome.
to see you.
Same here.
Yeah, we'll see each other soon, I hope.
All right. Have a great day.
You do. Bye.
Bye.